If you're in the GATE program, it seems like one of three things could have happened to you. So first of all, as an adult, like maybe you get scholarships and like went to a good college and then were pushed on to like success. And maybe you're higher up in the military or a lawyer or a pharmacist or some type of other doctor. A lot of these people actually did have everything work out for them, and that usually means that they went according to the plan that these powers that be had in store for them. They made profiles on all of us in the GATE program and decided like what each of us would be best at for their uses, not according to like what we're actually supposed to do with our lives. And so they made all these plans and they profiled us with all of the different activities that they had us do, and then they pushed you towards that career path or whatever. And then there are two other groups, and I am in the second group. I know a lot of my followers are in the third group as well. So the second group is that you were stifled, and what that looks like is basically at some point they decided that you were not trustworthy according to their goals. They decided you weren't always going to follow orders or something like that, and so they stifled you. And what that looks like is usually around middle school or kind of whenever the GATE program was done with you. You started acting uncharacteristically like rebellious or bad, and this is what they install self-sabotage programming. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. So they install that into a lot of us that were stifled, and maybe they install it into everybody, but they only activate it if you're stifled. And so that can just look like a teenage rebellious phase. And it can look like promiscuity, it can look like substance abuse, it can look like eating disorders, and usually a couple of those stacked or like combined. And especially if you had things like the drowning incidents or the fire incidents too, combined with those things, and of course you were in the GATE program. This is not just regular run-of-the-mill like teenage self-sabotage or bad behavior. Like, this is all of the things kind of combined, and I know that a lot of you that are my followers have this because I've done videos about it and you've commented about it. So do understand that there is a difference between like your regular teenage behavior and like this is like full-blown, like this is worst of the worst. And it's usually a pretty stark change because like if I talk to my parents or grandparents about how I was in elementary school, like I was a perfectly behaved angel, like no joke. Like they don't like my parents are like pretty real. And so it's like then it just went like complete 180. Like I was like the worst teenager ever. And then from there, as an adult, maybe you got into jobs and like, you probably turned yourself around. You're like, okay, well, yeah, I really need to improve my act. I'm not doing very well. And so at some point you probably shaped up and you got some adult jobs. Like you probably graduated college, and because you were gifted after all, so you should probably be able to graduate college. And then when you get into the job world, it's like, some of us have a lot of like just the neurodivergent issues, like not understanding like workplace like norms or like why you need to fake so many behaviors, that type of thing. But a lot of times, like it seems like as soon as you're about to like level up or like increase your pay, or you do increase your pay, and then like a series of terrible things happen. And this happens again to a lot of us. I know it's not only me, but like for me, what this looked like is I got a promotion at my job and of course a pay raise, and then like immediately after that I started having health issues and I got pregnant, and then I had a back injury, and so like I was like causing all kinds of like issues at work because of my health, and like I had to work from home and have like an ADA plan and whatnot. Like it was bad. And so ultimately I ended up having to quit that job just to take care of my health stuff, and now I'm doing this and it's wonderful. So like it all worked out for the best. But that's just another little like example of self-sabotage, and just things that can happen like when you're moving up and you have self-sabotage programming. And this is that second group that has been stifled. Now it can lead into what we call the third group in gang stalking or a targeted individual. And so what that looks like, again, this may look pretty similar to like the stifling because there may be a lot of the similar installed programs, but for whatever reason, they have determined that you are like dangerous to them, and they really don't want you to get ahead. And so they use mechanisms. So if you're in this third group, they're going to use something called voice to skull technology, or they're going to use a lot of like tones and weird things to like activate different parts of you, or just to kind of like trigger you into anxiety. And so that may sound like just tones, coming at you. It may sound like ringing in your ears. You may get ominous phone calls. You may hear voices in your head that are not your own. So they can do all kinds of targeting and like remotely. And if you look into like the Havana syndrome, and I want to say that happened in 2016, and that was where a bunch of U.S. officials were targeted with these different attacks that are, frequency attacks, basic frequency-based attacks. And they also used that in Venezuela earlier this year. They used something that Trump called the discombobulator. And they're like just noting all of the symptoms that people had around there. It looked very similar to what like targeted individuals had. So I guess I find that to be really interesting that like they've been using these weapons on their own citizens for many, many years now. There's been over multiple decades of complaints of targeted individuals or from targeted individuals, and just now like the government is admitting that they actually have these weapons. Like ever before that, they were always like, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about, we don't have any powers like that, just like they do with alien stuff. So those are the three main groups that I believe that there are now after the GATE program. And so you are either chosen, stifled, or a targeted individual, unfortunately. And if you need help getting out of either of those later two groups, I do have classes on that can help you out. I do sometimes meet with people, but I'm really encouraging, like it's kind of hard for me to schedule that. So that is pretty premium priced, but if you are somebody who is struggling with like self-sabotage programming, I do have programs that can help you, and there's a link below. It's actually a healing bundle, and so one part of that is going to be to work on your what we call parts or alters, and those might be things that come up when programming is activated. So if you're a targeted individual, you may feel that like maybe you hear a tone and then you get triggered and like you change to a different alternate personality. And I have a whole guide to kind of help you work through those different parts and get information from them. Because sometimes they'll have amnesic walls, and so that can really cause a lot of issues for people, and that can be why you don't remember things. And then the other part of that healing bundle is the subconscious reprogramming, and the method that I do, I really like it because you're not trusting me with your subconscious. Like, you are the one accessing it, you are the one that is setting the intention of like what you want to go in and do in there, and I guide you through the whole process. But it's in a way where like you're the one doing the selecting of like, okay, this is what we're choosing to work on in this time, and you're only working on one thing at a time. So you have a lot of control in it, and you can do it as many times as you like. So again, if you're interested in that, check out my links below.